I'm Dave Evans, and I help with this guy named Bill Burnett, my partner in crime. Bill can't be here today, but Bill will be standing there. And 10 years ago, we founded this thing called the Stanford Life Design Lab. So what do we do at the Stanford Life Design Lab? Well, of course, we teach classes. We teach classes to a whole bunch of people. We teach designing your life to juniors and seniors. We teach designing your Stanford to freshmen and sophomores. We teach designing the professional to masters and PhD students and postdocs. We teach everybody. We teach about 15, 20% of all the students at Stanford. Now, these are smart people. What do they need to take this class for? Can't they figure this thing out? Well, let's see what they have to say about that. What do students actually think about this question? So we asked some. We went to a career fair. Why are they taking this stuff? So we asked them the question, what are you going to do with your life after you graduate? We're kind of curious what they would think about that. Interesting answers to that question sounds like this.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I was going to go to med school, but some grades changed that. I think I'm going to go to law school.
My personal favorite right there.
I have no idea.
Okay, what's going on here? Now, we did not wait all day long for the 7 clueless Stanford students to make them look bad. Okay, this is very easy material to get. Don't forget, they were at a career fair. Seriously, the little name tag, my name's Ann, I'm desperately unemployed, please save me. That's what's going on. And these are the answers we're getting. Well, smart does not mean clear. Well-educated does not mean focused or well-intentioned. So we've got this question. So again, we formed the Life Design Lab, and our mission is to apply the innovation principles of design thinking to the wicked problem of designing your life at and after college. Now, the colored words, if we click on them, I can give you white papers, very educational stuff, pedagogically deep material, and so that's a very interesting but kind of jargony answer, Dave. What do you really mean? Well, what we really mean is this. We mean we're the guys who teach the classes to help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up. And everybody goes, ooh, can I take the class? Everybody says that. Everybody says that. We've been hearing that for like 10 years. Thousands of people say, can I take the class? So that's why we wrote the book. That's why we're here today, because everybody has this question. Now, by the way, even the way we frame it here is kind of a lousy way to say it, because I don't know about you guys, but I personally have no intention of ever being done growing up. How many of you want to be done growing up? How many want to keep growing? Okay, that's a trick question. Right? So maybe we should reframe this a little bit. Maybe we're the guys to teach classes to help you keep figuring out what you want to be next. That's a better way to put it. But even so, the question still remains an important question. Why? Why are so many people asking this question? Why is this such a hard thing to do? Well, there are a lot of reasons, but one of them is people are stuck. People are stuck. They're in a bad place. Hard to get out of there. What are you going to do? Unless another friendly cow comes along. And one of the big causes of this is what we call dysfunctional beliefs. Dysfunctional beliefs, which are very popular ideas, but they're not particularly true. They're certainly not helpful, and as Mark might put it, they're not generative. A couple of examples. For instance, a very, very common, very popular question, I bet you've even heard it recently. Hey, what's your passion? What's your passion? Properly pronounced, what's your passion? What is your passion? Are you following your passion? How do you know your passion? Who knows your passion? Are you doing your passion? Are you? Here's the problem. Why is it dysfunctional, Dave? Well, because it turns out, according to the research one of our colleagues at Stanford, Bill Damon, has discovered about 8 out of 10 people answer the question, what's your passion, with either, I don't know, or which one did you want to hear about first? Either of those answers means what's your passion is not a good organizing principle for figuring out what the rest of your life is all about. Let's not start with a question that leaves 8 out of 10 people in a remedial case when all they're being is normal. Dysfunctional belief, bad idea. Let's try another one. Very common idea. Hey, are you being the best version of you? Are you really being the best you? Are you sure this life you're living, is this really it? Are you sure? Is this it? And was it that? You're not missing it? Oh my God. You're not settling, are you? Are you settling? We're in San Francisco. We don't settle here. Here's the problem. There's an old business phrase, the good is the enemy of the better, and the better is the enemy of the best. Are you being your best? Are you being your best? It was a great halftime talk, but here's the problem. What we have noticed is everybody contains more aliveness than one lifetime permits them to live, i.e., there's more than one of you in there. Now, I'm on my 5th career, but I'm old. I'm 64. I've got 4.7 grandchildren. One due in November. And, I've been lots of different things, and how do you compare? Because a best something means a singular, exclusive optimization that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt is better than all the alternatives. To pull that off, only one set of criteria can be used to fairly judge all the different possibilities. Does that really work with your life? No, it doesn't work. And is my grandfather self better than my author self? Is my author self better than my startup self or my educator self? It's a dumb question. You can't compare them. They're entirely different. So the rest of that soliloquy ought to be, and the false best is the enemy of the available better. Here's the problem. If you signed up for this idea, you've decided you have to be your best self and there isn't one best you just decided to be unhappy for the rest of your life. Don't go there. Let's don't go there. It's a bad idea. Let me demonstrate how this actually works, because what I want to do is actually ask a question. We're going to find out now. We do this all the time. How many lives are you? Perhaps I should explain the question. We're going to do a little experiment now. It's called a Gedanken experiment. That's a technical term for a thought experiment in German. And sometimes you do them in your head because you can't do them anywhere else. You have to do them imaginally. So let us imagine that, in fact, we've now proven, indeed, it's a multiverse. There are infinite parallel universes out there in the cosmos, angstroms apart in the 19th dimension, if we but knew how to measure it. But they're out there, trust me. Thing two, we've figured out that we can do concurrent consciousness by deploying wormholes and string theory. So there are infinite universes, and you're present in all of them, and you can be consciously aware of all of you at the same time. How cool is that? But there's one really strange thing about the multiverse. You have to reserve a place in advance. It's kind of like open table. You got to call ahead. So to get into the multiverse, we just need to know how many of you would like. You can have as many as you want. All the different versions of you, and this is not like Wolverine who gets older and everybody dies on him and he has to start over and again. No, everybody's there, it's all fine, you're healthy, everything you need is there. You can even repeat the things you really love. Let's have the life you're in now you love. You'd do it again if you could. Fine, you can have as many do-overs as you want. First time we took her to Disneyland, my lovely daughter Lisa decided a good way to spend an entire day was to ride Dumbo 42 times. After 38, honey, you want to do it again? Yes. Okay. So let's keep doing Dumbo. You want to do 42 Dumbos, you got that. But I want you now to think of all the different lives you could possibly have. And one more, you'd finally say, I just don't know what I'd do with that one. So pick a number in your head. How many lives might you be in the multiverse? I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. When I would have said 4, shout your number. Everybody got a number in your head? Participative experience here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We're at 10, 7, and 18. Okay, median 12.2. Which means, look, the number's bigger than 1, right? There's more than one of you, and we all know this. So the reframe is really simple. Look, there are lots of great yous, and so, in fact, the centerpiece exercise we do in our courses and in our book we call the Odyssey Plan. The Odyssey Plan is 3 different versions of the next 5 years of your life, completely different versions. Because, of course, there's more than one of you. You can't have an idea about your future. You have to have some ideas about your future because there's so many of you. And it's never too late. Is it really never too late? Is it really never too late? Yes, it is really never too late. By the way, because we're doing this stuff and we did the book and Stanford sent us to 16 cities and all this stuff, people sometimes say, well, gosh, you guys hang out with young people a lot. You talk to college students, a lot of millennials, Don't you really find this is a young person's question? That what's really true is, there's a certain point past which this is not the question anymore. Let me reframe what you just asked me. Dave, you and Bill have been on the road a lot. Have you noticed there's an age past which most people really don't care anymore and they're just waiting to die? And the answer is no, we have not noticed that. In the first big meeting, we had 400 people in New York come out to talk about stuff just like we're talking here. Right in the middle in the center, from the class of 1953, there's a Stanford alumni, is Connie. And Connie is 87 years old. And we do this exercise. We do this exercise in the room with the 3 versions of your future. And of course, immediately I can see she's stuck. Well, she's 87. Come around, oh, dear, can I help you? Oh, yes, could you please? I just have so many ideas, I don't know where to start. Oh, that's the problem you've got. You really want to be Connie when you grow up. Trust me, when I do that little exercise we just did, my anecdotal observation is the older the median age of the crowd, the higher the number. You're not just getting older. You're not even just getting better. You're getting bigger. Over time, you realize how capacious and huge you actually are and how wide the world really is. This thing just gets better and worse at the same time. Right? So that's Connie. Now, is it really never too late? I just got an email from a woman who said, thank you very much. I just wanted you to know you're really able to help people because I have a dear husband whose parents convinced him when he was a child that he really wasn't worth anything, and he unfortunately believed them. And for the 38 years of our marriage, I've been trying to encourage him, and he's really been stuck, and he hasn't really been able to get anywhere. But some of your ideas have helped him, and he's actually moving. He's finally moving. That's not because we wrote an amazing book. Books aren't going to fundamentally change you. He's an amazing person. We're all amazing persons. It's just you might have some stuff in your head that's got you stuck that you don't need anymore. Is it really true it's never too late? Yes, it really is. So build your way forward by designing your life. Now, what does that mean? The secret sauce is this design thinking. So very briefly, design thinking is one of a number of ways of thinking. We have engineering thinking. Engineering thinking solves problems we well understand. That's great. Good way to build a bridge. Build it today, it works. Build it tomorrow, it works fine. That's a great solution. We got business thinking. In business, you're never right, you're never done, you never have enough profitability or enough customer satisfaction, but you can optimize. You can have figures of merit. You can learn how to think in an optimization sort of way. You can do research like we do at the university. Start with a hypothesis, dependent, independent variables, a whole series of steps to get down to the critical question. It's a wonderful analytic approach. So I can solve my way forward, I can optimize my way forward, I can analyze my way forward, but all those tame problem solutions, well-bounded, well-understood problem solutions, don't solve wicked problems when you don't know what you're looking for till you find it, kind of like your own life. And that's when you have to build your way forward, and design thinking is a way to build your way forward and solve a wicked problem. It has two descriptions, a process and a set of mindsets. The process has 5 steps. You start with empathy, really understand what's going on, then define your point of view, then have some ideas, try them out, and go test them before you hit the world. And before you do any of that, don't forget to accept reality the way it is, because trust me, it goes through a place that looks just like today. No matter where you are, you're starting in the right place. The mindsets, the way a designer kind of looks at things, are pretty simple. We start with curiosity. Ooh, that's interesting, which is going to cause us to go talk to a whole bunch of people. Though radical collaboration doesn't mean radical ideas. It means radically talk to everybody. And in so doing, I'm probably going to get a new point of view. I'm going to reframe the way I think about some things. I'm going to keep the process steps in mind so I get neither ahead of nor behind myself. And eventually, when in doubt, do something. Quit thinking and analyzing, go do stuff. We build and we do to think. So what is this designing a life? What do you guys actually talk about? Well, it's a whole bunch of stuff. It's all that. That's way too much. Okay, so could you simplify that, Dave? Could you knock it down? Well, yeah, there's 3 things. Get curious, talk to people, try stuff. That's really it. Now, let's take these one at a time. Get curious. Curate your curiosity by pursuing latent wonderfulness. You want to know what it looks like if you've curated your curiosity? Curating curiosity means you live to the kind of life like my friend Stu did when he was well into his 90s. And he was dying. He was home in hospice care. And he was fidgeting a little bit, and he looked like he might have been in some pain. And his daughter said, "Dad, do you want me to hit the morphine button?" He says, No. Only get to do this once. I don't want to miss it. That's serious curiosity. I wonder what my death is going to be like. That's going to be so interesting. That's the guy that's curated his curiosity. But now to make this thing accessible, that's not at the end of a guy that already knows how to do it. How do you build this? Well, let's use a story. We'll use a story of particular life. We'll illustrate this through, in the book we call her Clara. In life we call her Claudia. I happen to know this story rather well because she just happens to be my wife. Okay. Nepotism notwithstanding, it's a great illustration of how to do this thing right. So in curiosity, by the way, she starts out by being curious about the fact that what do I do now? Because she did exactly 2 things for 30 years, raised her kids and made the money, single mom. Kids graduate, move toward retirement, haven't got a single idea what to do with myself, haven't got a single passion, haven't got a plan B, have got nothing. So what do? I decide the world is full of interesting things and I'm going to start being aware of what I didn't used to notice. And oh, by the way, the only thing I can remember is I used to be a feminist and I still am actually, and I think that's really important, so I bet the women thing is important to me. So she just starts noticing and looking. And she bumps into a thing called the California Women's Foundation, and she talks to some of these people. She is sitting at the coffee hour at church, and somebody announces there's a mediation class. She goes, ooh, that's interesting. What is mediation anyway? And off she goes. And those curiosities begin to curate and turn into talking to people. Now, when you talk to people, what do? You get the story. It's not about getting the job. It's not about getting the money. It's not about getting the transaction. It's just about get the story. When you talk to people, you're just getting the story. So she does that. She gets the story from the mediator and finds that really interesting and gets invited to maybe take a class and come observe. And she goes to the Women's Foundation, meets with the president, sits in on a meeting, gets invited to come. She just follows her nose, pursuing latent wonderfulness. She doesn't even know what she's looking for yet. She'll know it when she finds it. Now, you say, maybe I'm, like Amy, I'm an introvert. I don't want to do all that talking. How does that work? What's the secret to get people to talk to you? It's really simple. Interested is interesting. Interested is interesting. Curiosity really does work. If you've decided, equine therapy, I didn't even know horses had depression. No, we use horses to help people with depression, And so the equine therapy is like a real thing. You can actually do equine therapy, no kidding. And so you go find an equine therapist. Now, how many of you probably think, how many of you think your life is interesting to you? Yeah, how about that? Most people do. So if it turns out I've done the research and hey, Eloise, you're an equine therapist. I think what you do is fascinating and you think what you do is fascinating. We share the fact that we both think you are so cool. So we can have a conversation that interested is really interesting. And if you've curated true curiosity, it's a power pill inside you that will move you through, but I don't know how to do this. Which finally gets you to try stuff. When it comes to try stuff, that means set the bar low and clear it. I just had a cup of coffee, she says. And then I sat in on a meeting, and I observed a class. And then they invited me to take the class. She just took the class. I didn't sign up. I didn't certify. And eventually she's doing mediation on the side, and what you want to do then is repeat until engaged. There's no deadline. And so Claudia kept going on these things, and it turned out the one that she noticed herself continuing to come back to over and over again was on homelessness. One of the philanthropists in town said, hey, I hear you're looking for stuff to do. Follow me. Come take a tour of the Homeless Service Center in Santa Cruz. She can't be here with me today because she's flying back from DC, having just spent a week in the National Homelessness Conference because she's on her way to becoming a national thought leader on solving this problem after 7 years of being the president of the Homeless Center in Santa Cruz, where we live. So repeat until engaged, and that's what it means to design your life. And what we're really saying is we're designing our aliveness. The whole point is by getting curious, curating that curiosity proactively, the same way Stu did and the same way eventually Claudia did, in a very accessible way. And then talk to a bunch of people. It's all about the people. You're hearing the social connectedness from all of us. And then try stuff and keep trying stuff until you notice, I'm actually doing stuff. And that's the way you can design a long and joyful life. Okay, I'm just about out of time. In fact, I got 11.2 seconds. So wrapping this thing up, why does this work? What's this all about? Well, it's really about this human-centered design thing. Design thinking was called human-centered design when it was conceived in the 60s. It's all about what works for people. So applying a human process to the human life, real thing, real tools for real people, that's what it's all about. So in designing life, we're just trying to do this a little more humanly. And the feedback we're getting is that more human approach is leaving people more hopeful and a little better helped. So as we ask the question about longevity, what kind of life are we trying to help people experience? We're probably coming up with things like, how can we want people to be more passionate and balanced and superpowered and connected and kale-loving and innovative and just plain dazzling. Let's have long, dazzling lives. That's great, but can we not lose our focus on being a little more human? And if we pursued that, that would be a worthy thing. Thanks.